Some people think being busy is a status symbol. Some business owners think busyness is a necessity. Hi, I'm Christine Rothdeutsch, and I'm host of Make It Click. And today we're talking about taking that busyness and actually thriving in your business, in your personal life. This talk is for everybody. And I want to welcome my guest, Helle Brodie, to the show. Welcome, Helle.
Thank you, Christine. I'm happy to be here with you.
Now, just before we got going here, you said that you weren't using the term busyness so much anymore, and I said, but everybody else is. Uh, and I think it really, what you have to offer the audience really does stem from people trying to do things and not getting anywhere. Is
Right.
that kind of where you're at?
Yeah, well, where I'm at is let me just start with I'm not using the term busyness so much anymore because people don't like to think they're just stuck in busyness, right? So the concept hasn't changed, but you're absolutely right. A lot of people think of busyness as a status symbol. Oh, when I'm busy, I'm important. When if I'm an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs are really the people that I serve best, I have to be busy to be successful, right? And so when we're super busy all the time, we don't have the brain space to actually think, right? To really think about what we should be doing. We just keep going and going and going and going. And I mean, that's really the life of the entrepreneur. There's always a never ending list of things to do.
Yeah. And being busy doesn't even mean that you're doing the right things.
Absolutely.
I love that when I hear that from people and then they start talking about what they're doing. A big one is constant networking. Constantly going to networking event after networking event. It's like, and where's that getting you? And people think, but I have to. I have to do this to get business.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
But
And
they don't. But I don't think they realize either. I did a little research before you came on here, and it's really being so active and doing things that maybe aren't even beneficial to you. They're finding that it's really starting to impact a person's health.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, statistics say that 80% of people struggle with busyness. And so it's a pretty widespread concept. And when you think about it, if you're busy and on the go all the time, and you almost get addicted to that rush of adrenaline when you're so busy all the time.
Yeah.
Well, biologically, I mean, we get a shot of adrenaline when we need to get something done quickly, but it's not a sustainable way to live. It's part of the whole stress response, and it really does start to affect our health. We start moving toward burnout. We start having we have trouble sleeping. It starts to affect our digestion. It affects our heart. These are real physical ailments, right? And
Hmm.
it's because we think we need to do all of this stuff when you're absolutely right. We don't necessarily need to do all the things that we're doing. They're not actually getting us anywhere. And so I mean, those are when I work with people, what I want to do is first of all, let's find out why you think you need to be so busy. Because once we understand why you think you need to be busy, and most of that is, it's mindset stuff.
Mm.
Once we understand, we can start to address it, and then when we put into place, um, let's just say productivity tools and tips, it has that much more impact. If we just throw those productivity tips, into the mix, if we haven't shifted our mindset, nothing's gonna change. I mean, it may change for the short term, but you'll be back to that crazy busyness all the time.
Right. And I think this is an area that I'm going to say almost 100% of the population needs to address.
Yes.
Because this isn't just about whether you're a business owner or not. It's every person that encounters these situations, and taking that downtime and going into the mindset work, and like you said, why are you doing what you're doing? Without that, nothing's going to change.
You're
Um,
absolutely right, Christine.
Yeah. So you talked about, okay, so you have these three steps, these three pillars that you kind of work around. And the first one being clarity, wondering, remembering why. Okay, now let's talk about business, why you got into business.
Right.
Um, I think after a few years we tend to forget. It's like
We
now we're
do.
on the hamster wheel, and it's like, well, I'm just doing because I'm a business owner. So
Well, and it's true, when you're a business owner, that to-do list never ends. And in fact, if you're any good at brainstorming and coming up with ideas, and most of us are, then that list just grows exponentially all the time, right?
mm,
But as you said earlier, what is it that's on that list that really moves the needle, that gets you to where you want to go? So getting back to clarity, why is it that you're so busy, and why did you start your business? What do you want to get out of it? I mean, there's some of us who want to change the world, and I think that's incredible. But below that, we want to provide for our families. We want to have a lifestyle. We want to do something meaningful. And so, if we want to provide for our families and have a lifestyle, lifestyle is the
mm,
key there, then is that crazy, crazy busyness? Is that serving us? Is that really getting us to where we want to be? It's actually opposite of what we're looking at. But when we have a belief, and this gets into the energy component, when we have a belief that we have to be so busy to be successful,
mm,
um, it's hard to get off that hamster wheel.
right.
We're just
Well,
going to perpetuate it.
and it's that when you start a business, oftentimes it's you all by yourself, and it's like, but I can't outsource. I can't get anywhere. I have to do it all myself, and getting past that mindset is a real hurdle. But that's more than just a mindset. That's a communication issue too. I
Yeah.
find all too often people won't be able to outsource because they don't communicate well with the person they're working with. Just saying.
Well, and there are a variety of concepts in that. I mean, at first, maybe you really can't afford to outsource, and you don't really know what you need. So how do you tell somebody else what to do if you don't know what you need? So there are things that you have to figure out on your own first.
Mhm,
But the goal is to delegate it as fast as you can, because we have to look at what's the best value for our time. We only have so much time.
mhm.
We also want to have a lifestyle. Many of us have families. We have hobbies. Entrepreneurs are the first ones to forget their hobbies, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, that's all a part of clarity. And
Okay.
then we move into what I call the energy stage. Well, there's emotional energy and your mental energy and your physical energy. I mean, how many entrepreneurs are really looking after themselves physically? And so then we're not eating well, we're not sleeping well. We just don't have the energy to do everything that we want to do, right? So it's putting those things into place and getting our mindset in the right place and our mental energy in the right place, so we can actually do what we want to do.
Right. Yes, yes. It's so easy. I don't know. As you were talking, just I'm thinking, like where our minds are at, our brains are at, is similar to your Google Drive or OneDrive with all those files in it, and you can't find anything.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So
So it's, yeah, it in both respects, it's not doing you any good, any good. So we have clarity, we have energy, and then we have.
inspired action. And so when I say inspired action, it leads right back to where you started. I mean, there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are out there networking all the time, all the time, all the time. Is that really getting them what they need? Is that really moving the needle, as we say, moving them toward their goals? Which comes back to the clarity piece again. So I mean, they're all tied together, and what's the best use of our time? How can we be more productive? And when I say inspired action, there's the whole business side of things, but then there's also the personal side. One of the things I find, I alluded to it earlier, entrepreneurs often start to, I mean, they steal their time for their business from their personal life. And so they don't end up with time for their hobbies, the things that they love, the things that give them energy, the things that really help them to thrive, right? So, and the more responsibility we have, the less time we devote to those things that are just fun. And yet, when we have more fun in our lives, we're thriving, we increase our energy, we're doing the things we want to do, and it drives the whole system. So there's the fun component, and then there's the productivity and the systems and procedures. There's, which initially aren't quite as much fun, but when you can see, again, clarity, how they drive you to getting what you want out of life, they become a lot more interesting.
Right. So, Helle, are there a couple, well, we just said inspired actions, but some actions that our listeners can take right now if they feel that you're speaking to them? Are there there are a couple activities that they can do right now to get them started on the right path?
Absolutely. So, I mean, first thing I'd say is take a breath. Take a breath and create a little bit of space to think. I believe it was Jack Welch who said he always schedules in some looking out the window time. And it sounds very rich, to sit and look out the window. But the thing is, it's time to think, right? So create some time to think. Look at what it is that you're doing. And one of the exercises I ask people to do is make a list of during the week of everything that you do, absolutely everything. And then sit down and look at that list. Add a few more things that are on your aspirational list. And then look at what really makes sense for me. What's a good use of my time? If it's not a good use of my time, I have to stop doing it.
Yeah. Well, this is wonderful, Helle. And to go along with what you just shared, I do believe you have some resources that you wanted to share with the audience.
I do, and you can find them on my website. There's, I have a download it's called The Art of Productivity, and it gives you a few peeks into some of the things that you can do to be more productive. As I said, if you want some of these things to stick, really you need to work on your mindset, your beliefs, your energy. That's how we complete the whole picture. But it's always helpful to have some productivity tools to use. The other one is it's a little quiz, which is kind of fun, and it's to rate your busyness. How busy are you, right? And it's when you read some of the questions, it'll give you a little bit of insight into maybe there's something I need to think about and work on. So it's a little bit of fun. It's one of the things that I do take my clients through, because it's I'll say a modified version of that, because it helps people to see where they are, to see what's going on.
Great. And that's at freedomjourneys.ca/resources. And the CA is because you're in Canada, correct?
I am in Canada. It's a wonderful country.
Well, this has been wonderful, Hal. I do have one last question for you, and this is more about you and your business and all the years you've been in business. And when you think about what you've learned, how to run your business and spend your time and tools and all this, is there something that comes to mind that over the years you look back and say, "Oh my goodness, this one thing it really helped me to make it click in my business, to really help propel me
Right.
forward." Is there anything that comes to mind?
It was the whole concept of mindset, because this is my second business. I ran the other business for 35 years. Started it from scratch, built it, and that's when I found, that's when I realized the busyness trap, because I didn't have a life, right? And now I have my assistant who just walked by. I didn't have a life, and that's how I came to understand what this is all about. And it all started with understanding what mindset was and how our mindset controls absolutely everything that we do. And so, if we believe we have to work hard to succeed, if we believe we have to put long hours in, our brains will do things to create the situations that we have to work long and hard, longer and harder and longer and harder until we burn out, right? And it's entrepreneurs, it's the smaller business owners who really fuel our economies. And so these are the people we need to look after. These are the people that are the future for our world. And so just understanding mindset is the most critical thing, or at least it has been for me.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Hella. Yes, I recently discovered that for myself also. So it's, I totally get it. Thank you so much for being my guest today on Make It Click.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been great chatting with you.